The mask of truth. Truth often wears a disguise, and ironically, those closest to us, friends, family, or partners, are sometimes its most skilled concealers. We like to believe we're adept at spotting dishonesty from afar, that our emotional intelligence serves as an impenetrable shield against deceit. Yet, the truth remains elusive not because it's invisible, but because we choose to turn a blind eye. I've fallen into this trap myself, convinced I could read people effortlessly, only to later realize I had overlooked glaring signs of deception. Subtle inconsistencies in behavior, embellished tales, or defensiveness triggered by harmless questions. All were present, yet I dismissed them as trivial. Deception is far more pervasive than we care to admit, and those we trust the most are often the ones concealing it. So how do we peel back the layers of falsehood? How can Stoic wisdom illuminate what lies beneath? Let's delve into 4 key indicators of dishonesty and uncover the hidden truths. Sign 1. Fractured narratives. The first hallmark of dishonesty is often the most conspicuous: contradictions. When someone spins a web of lies, maintaining coherence becomes an insurmountable task. Details slip through the cracks, and small discrepancies begin to emerge. A casual weekend getaway might morph into an elaborate vacation with additional participants. At first glance, these shifts may seem minor, but they are unmistakable warning signs. When you notice such contradictions, pause and reflect. Is this an innocent error or a deliberate effort to obscure reality? From a Stoic perspective, dishonesty demands relentless mental effort. Lying compels the deceiver to construct and sustain an alternate version of events, a burden that weighs heavily on the soul. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the serenity that comes with living authentically, while deception chains one to the exhausting task of upholding a facade. Contradictions aren't mere oversights. They reveal the strain of managing a lie. Observe with Stoic detachment. Why does this person feel compelled to alter their story? Often, the truth is obscured not just from others but from the liar themselves. Sign 2. The void of empathy. Another unmistakable sign of dishonesty is a lack of empathy. Empathy is the cornerstone of genuine human connection, a virtue revered by Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius. They believe that understanding and sharing the emotions of others is essential for living a life of virtue and harmony. When someone is dishonest, their focus narrows to preserving their fabricated narrative, leaving little room for authentic emotional engagement. This disconnect can surface in conversations where responses feel hollow or mismatched. For instance, when someone shares devastating news, a personal loss, perhaps, and the listener reacts with indifference or superficial concern, it may signal more than emotional detachment. It could indicate preoccupation with maintaining the lie. Stoicism teaches that honesty and empathy are intertwined. When someone's emotional response seems incongruent with the situation, it warrants closer scrutiny. Is this an isolated lapse, or does it hint at deeper deception? Approach the matter with clarity, recognizing that a lack of empathy may betray a broader pattern of dishonesty. Sign 3. The blame game. The third indicator of dishonesty is a refusal to take responsibility, a behavior antithetical to Stoic principles. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius champion personal accountability, teaching that while external circumstances are beyond our control, our reactions are entirely within our power. When someone deflects blame instead of owning their actions, they reveal a prioritization of self-preservation over truth. Consider the colleague who misses a deadline and shifts culpability onto the team or faulty equipment rather than acknowledging their role. Such behavior not only undermines trust, but also stifles growth. A Stoic mindset encourages embracing responsibility, not as a burden, but as an opportunity to learn and evolve. Those who evade accountability deceive not only others, but also themselves, denying the chance for self-improvement. Recognizing this pattern is crucial, for it underscores a fundamental truth. Honesty begins with owning one's actions. When you come across someone who shifts blame, it's often a signal that they're concealing something far more significant than meets the eye. Sign 4. Overly defensive behavior. Have you ever observed how certain individuals respond with disproportionate defensiveness, even when the situation doesn't call for it? This overreaction can be a telltale sign that they're hiding the truth. Instead of addressing a straightforward issue calmly, they lash out, dismiss criticism, or counterattack, sometimes directing their hostility toward others. From a Stoic perspective, this kind of defensive behavior reveals an internal struggle. The Stoics believe that true peace arises from embracing reality as it is, no matter how uncomfortable. When someone reacts defensively, it often indicates they're guarding a lie or protecting a false self-image. If a person cannot engage in a calm, rational discussion without becoming defensive, it suggests they are not at peace with themselves. The Stoic approach here is one of understanding. Rather than reacting emotionally, we observe with clarity. People who are overly defensive are often shielding themselves from an uncomfortable truth they're unwilling to face. Stoic wisdom reminds us that peace comes from accepting the truth, not avoiding it. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we can navigate the murky waters of dishonesty and deception with greater insight. The Stoics teach us to observe without getting swept up in the drama, to recognize contradictions, lack of empathy, blame shifting, and defensiveness, and to see them for what they are, signs that something deeper is at play. This isn't about fostering cynicism or distrust, but about cultivating the ability to discern the truth, even when it's cleverly concealed in plain sight. Stay grounded, stay observant, and remember, truth, no matter how well disguised, is always within reach for those willing to seek it. Key insight, Stoic perspective. Have you ever noticed how someone reacts to even the simplest question? An immediate defensiveness, as if they're bracing for an assault? It's as though they're jumping at shadows, assuming they're under threat when, in reality, no accusation was made. This instinctive defensiveness is a glaring red flag that something deeper is at work. It's not just an innocent reaction. It often signals that they're hiding something, whether because they've done something wrong or trying to conceal the truth. At the heart of defensiveness lies fear. Fear of being exposed, fear of judgment, or fear of losing control over a situation. When someone becomes defensive, especially in the context of lying, it's a protective mechanism designed to shield them from the consequences of their actions. Let's break this down. Imagine asking someone a simple question like, "Did you finish that report?" Instead of a direct answer, they launch into a lengthy, defensive tirade about how overwhelmed they've been with work, how no one understands their stress, or how unfair it is for you to even ask. The intensity of their response is wildly disproportionate to the simplicity of the question. This should give you pause. Someone who is truthful doesn't need to construct such an elaborate defense. They can respond calmly and confidently. A liar, however, feels compelled to erect a shield, creating an emotional barrier to deflect scrutiny. This is a classic hallmark of dishonesty. From a Stoic point of view, this behavior is deeply troubling. Stoicism teaches us to remain calm and composed in the face of challenges, to accept responsibility without flinching or deflecting blame. When someone becomes overly defensive, it suggests they're not at peace with the truth and are evading its potential consequences. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, frequently emphasized the importance of self-awareness and inner tranquility. A person secure in their integrity has no need for defensiveness because they have nothing to hide. Overly defensive individuals are like fortresses, always on high alert, perpetually preparing for battle. They live on edge, ready to fend off any perceived threat to their image or reputation. This reaction often masks feelings of guilt, insecurity, or even a concealed lie. When someone defends themselves with great intensity, it often signals that they are hiding something significant. Defensiveness acts as both a shield against external judgment and a barrier to confronting uncomfortable inner truths. So, how should we approach this behavior from a Stoic perspective? Stoicism encourages us to observe without emotional entanglement. When faced with defensiveness, take a step back and seek to understand its root cause. Is it driven by insecurity, guilt, or fear of exposure? Rather than reacting impulsively, exactly what the defensive person may expect, maintain calmness and patience. Give them space to express themselves while remaining aware that their defensiveness could mask dishonesty. Ultimately, a person who is overly defensive has yet to embrace the Stoic ideal of serene self-assurance. Their reliance on words, excuses, or aggressive reactions reveals an inability to face truth openly. As Seneca wisely noted, a clear conscience fears no accusation. When you encounter someone constructing walls of defensiveness, ask yourself, what are they so desperate to protect? Have you ever been in a conversation where the speaker's words seemed persuasive, but something about their demeanor fell off? Perhaps their body was communicating something entirely different from their verbal message, whether consciously or not. In such moments, trust your instincts and pay close attention to body language. Unlike spoken words, which can be carefully crafted, the body rarely lies. Even the most practiced deceivers struggle to conceal subtle signs of inner tension. The fidgeting hands, the darting eyes, the involuntary gestures. These small cracks in the facade reveal deeper truths. Stoicism teaches us to observe the world with clarity and detachment, looking beyond surface appearances. Epictetus emphasized the importance of discernment, urging us to move past smooth rhetoric and evaluate the entirety of someone's actions. The disconnect between body language and spoken words serves as a powerful indicator that all is not as it seems. It's not just overt behaviors like avoiding eye contact or excessive fidgeting that matter. Sometimes, subtler cues speak volumes. For instance, someone might unconsciously angle their feet toward the exit, signaling a desire to flee the interaction, or nod excessively while speaking, as if trying to convince themselves of their own falsehoods. These nuances point to internal conflict, a misalignment between their words and their authentic selves. For the Stoics, living in harmony with one's true nature means embracing honesty, virtue, and transparency. Dishonesty disrupts this balance, creating inner turmoil that inevitably manifests in physical behavior. Observing these inconsistencies isn't an invitation to judge, but an opportunity to recognize when truth is being obscured. The Stoic mindset values calm observation over hasty condemnation, encouraging us to see deception as a reflection of internal discord rather than moral failure. The next time you sense a discrepancy between someone's words and their body language, trust your intuition. Look for the nervous hand movements, the fleeting glances, or the slight turning away, all signs of unease and internal conflict. While we may not always uncover the full truth, these subtle cues bring us closer to understanding what lies beneath. Additionally, evasive responses to straightforward questions often betray dishonesty. If you've ever posed a simple query only to receive a vague, convoluted answer, you know the frustration it brings. Such avoidance underscores the importance of vigilance in detecting untruths. By cultivating Stoic principles of observation and equanimity, we can navigate conversations with greater insight and wisdom. A frequent maneuver used by those looking to sidestep accountability is hiding behind a veil of ambiguity. By keeping their words vague and their intentions murky, they create a smokescreen that shields them from being called to task. Yet, as the Stoics remind us, truth is never convoluted. It's direct, unadorned, and plain. A person who speaks with honesty doesn't shy away from questions or tiptoe around the subject. They meet inquiries head-on, offering straightforward answers because their conscience is clean and their purpose transparent. From a Stoic lens, this evasion isn't merely deceitful. It's a betrayal of integrity. It signals a misalignment with virtue, a departure from the ethical path. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most revered Stoic thinkers, championed clarity in both thought and speech. For him, truth and virtue were intertwined. A pursuit of one inherently demanded fidelity to the other. To dodge a question or obfuscate an answer wasn't just a failure of communication. It was a refusal to take responsibility and live authentically. When someone resorts to vagueness, they aren't merely concealing facts. They're sowing confusion, attempting to bend reality to serve their interests. The longer they can blur the lines, the more control they exert over the narrative. Their hope is that your frustration will grow, leading you to abandon the quest for clarity altogether. But the Stoic response is steadfast. Remain composed, exercise patience, and persist without wavering. Rather than allowing their evasiveness to derail the dialogue, you hold firm, asking again and again if necessary, until the fog lifts. You demonstrate that their attempts at deflection won't deter you. In Stoicism, honesty has no fear of transparency. Truth, like a sturdy oak tree, withstands even the fiercest storms of scrutiny. So, when faced with evasion, resist the urge to react emotionally. Instead, see it as an opportunity to sharpen your focus. What are they shielding? Why do they falter when pressed for clarity? With Stoic detachment, you observe dispassionately, refusing to let their tactics rattle you. You continue seeking what lies beneath the surface, guided by reason rather than swayed by emotion. Ultimately, the Stoic way calls us to live lives of unwavering integrity, matching our deeds to our declarations and embracing the elegance of simplicity that truth embodies. The next time you encounter someone weaving a tangled web of half-truths or outright avoidance, recall the timeless wisdom of the Stoics. Truth shines brightest in its simplicity, while dishonesty festers in shadows of confusion. Stay calm, stay resolute, and keep pursuing clarity, for the truth, no matter how obscured, remains simpler and stronger than any lie.